I'm glad you got your opportunity, man. And as I said, you opened as a plus 330 dog in that fight. Interestingly enough, you opened as a minus 330 favorite in this fight. And, you know, the big name got you another big name in Assuncao, but now you're the favorite in this fight. Well, how does that feel to you? You know, such an odds flip like that. You feel like you finally got some respect, and idiots like myself who doubted you the first time are now completely on board?
No, I mean, I even said it after my my last interview where I felt that people who are UFC fans, it's okay to be UFC fans, but don't consider yourself an MMA fan if you're
Right.
just a UFC fan.
Yeah.
Because if you're only watching UFC, you're doing yourself a disservice because there's crazy fights all over the world and all over in every promotion,
Yeah.
even down to your local cards.
Yeah.
And then you have these media guys that claim to be MMA analysts or MMA media, and then all they cover is UFC guys.
Yeah.
Oh, top 15 of of this welterweight division buys a new car. Like, who cares, bro? Like,
Yeah.
you have all sorts of all these events throwing all sorts of all promotions throwing all sorts of events. ONE FC throwing kickboxing, Muay Thai, and even grappling tournaments.
Yeah.
I do think that UFC is the gold standard when it comes to promotion,
Sure.
but there's so much to see everywhere. But fighting a guy like Assuncao is, I don't know what the UFC is wanting as far as my name goes, but I do know that that they do expect an exciting fight out of me only because of my last fight. They want to continue building that. Being on the minus side of the odds this time, it doesn't bother me. I mean, the one thing that's a constant when it comes to fighting is the guy across from you is going to try to punch you in the face.
Sure.
Everything else always changes.
Mhm.
The venue, the size of the cage, the the betting odds, how many people watch, all those things are things that you can't even control.
Yeah.
So why even think about those things?
Yeah, completely true. That's just, for the gamblers and stuff. But I like the matchup in general, man. And like, I'm going back to what you said real quick about the promotions. That's a great point, because fighters like you that come into the UFC and get new eyes on them, they introduce people to, CFFC, KOTC, ONE, all these other promotions. So hats off for you for doing that too. I'm sure you fought all over the world in many different promotions. I'm sure a lot of people are now watching a lot of different promotions because of fighters like yourself. So that's a great point, man.
Yeah, well, I hope they are, because as a fighter, I have to keep my eyes on that too.
Yeah.
Because my next opponent might not be, top 15. And my next opponent, I mean, my next opponent might not be top 15 in the UFC. My next opponent might be the champion of another organization.
Sure.
So, and that is another dilemma, because I have to keep, this is a hard sport where you got to keep your eyes everywhere all the time, because somebody's coming to take your spot.
Yeah. It's a crazy sport. There's so much talent all over the world, down to the regional scene. It's amazing. So back to your fight this weekend against Assuncao. What are your thoughts on him as an opponent stylistically? How do you feel you guys match up?
I think we matched up real well, man. I mean, we both have a lot of experience between us. I do believe that of course, he has power in his hands. I mean, he's a short guy, but you see his build. He's going to be strong. He's going to be powerful. I don't think he's in his physical prime anymore, but I have to assume that he knows what position he's in with his recent losses. And even him changing camps to train over at Extreme Couture shows to me that he's still thinking and still trying to improve in his game itself.
Yeah.
So I have to be ready for, is he going to come out trying to swing big and just knock my head off? Or is he going to come out just trying to press me up against the cage and wrestle me, have a boring fight just so he can get that win and stay in the UFC?
Yeah.
I really don't know, and that's what's kind of fun about this fight, is that it's not something like, oh, if you go up against Israel Adesanya, you know exactly what he's going to do.
Right.
But in this case, it's not that at all. I don't know what Assuncao is going to do, but so I had we have to prepare for everything.
Did you were you training at CMMA or UWF or a little bit of both for this fight?
So UWF USA is actually just a team that operates that operates under Josh Barnett.
Yeah.
But Josh Barnett works closely with Chad George over at CMMA, and it's basically one team.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, when we go out, we represent CMMA, we represent UWF USA. We all, I mean, it's all under the guidance of Chad George and Josh Barnett.
Great team over there. For the casuals, name drop some of your training partners and coaches. Obviously, Josh.
Yeah, Josh Barnett. We got Chad George, and it's funny because like a lot of this has been coming out a lot lately. That a lot of these coaches, they don't actually have fight experience themselves. They've either they either used to wrestle, or they've gotten a black belt, or they used to kickbox, and if they kickbox and they have fighting experience, cool. But then they didn't really fight MMA. We have a team of coaches that have actually fought in MMA. And they know what it's like to be in the wrestling room. They know also they've got black belts themselves. They've had kickboxing fights themselves. So you get a very unique perspective on the coaching style because they have been there themselves.
Yeah.
And, so there's that. Of course, as far as training partners, we got Bruno Salza, who's a Machida karate guy. He's going to be competing at Combat Karate. We have Weber Almeida, who's he's a standout over in Bellator, and we have Ozzy Diaz, and he's the current LFA champion.
Yep.
We have a number of guys.
Bunch of killers in that gym, man. It's a great team right there. So, like, I don't know. I know the last fight was short notice. I assume you're kind of always training, but did having like a full camp scheduled for the same fighter the whole time, was that like nice compared to your debut? Are you going to have any advantages from that?
You know what? I kind of don't like it.
Really?
This 8-week training camp is bullcrap, man. It's a very long training camp. I'm used to just 4 weeks. I think the most I had up until this point was like a 6-week camp.
Yeah.
And it was, even then it was like, well, we got to start going now and get, I was already in shape, but get in better shape and and go for it, right? But 8 weeks is, even though it's just obviously 2 more weeks, but 8 weeks is 2 months, man.
It's a long
and it's
time.
crazy because as fighters, we live our lives week by week. Well, round by round, training session by training session, but week by week, Monday's my MMA drilling, Tuesday is my grappling, Wednesday's my sparring, we kind of do that week by week, and all of a sudden 2 months are gone in the blink of an eye, and you're like, man, I just went through an 8-week training camp.
Yeah, that's rigorous.
It feels like really long when you're in the middle of it, but then here we are, fight week, and it's like, oh man, that passed by really fast.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is. Having an 8-week camp is kind of brutal, but it's good. I mean, I expect that I'm going to be in pretty good shape. I hope so. Yeah. I trained for it, so I don't know if I'm going to set another record, but we'll see.
I'm super excited to see what a full grueling 8-week camp did for you, man. Can't wait for Saturday night.